National Museum of the American Latino Act. And I want to especially take a moment to thank Congressman Serrano for his leadership in the House, not only on this bill, but for a lifetime of achievement and advocacy for the Hispanic community. The 117th Congress will have a huge void upon his retirement, but we wish him the best. Likewise, I want to thank Julissa Arce for lending her voice and celebrity to this effort, and of course Danny Vargas for devoting so much of his time and effort into making the dream of a national museum for the American Latino reality in the near future. It's hard to believe that in the year 2019, a museum devoted to Latino history does not already exist. From day one, Hispanics have shaped this nation in countless ways, as military leaders, as pioneers in business and the arts, as activists and elected officials, all of them committed to the American dream. Yet for far too long, celebrations of our contributions have been confined to our community, when they are worthy of all Americans' admiration and understanding. En este país celebramos el 5 de mayo, el Día de los Niños, el mes de la herencia hispana, pero son pocos los que conocen el verdadero significado de estas celebraciones para nuestra comunidad. Si aún menos lo conocen la diversidad cultural que existe entre las nacionalidades hispanas y las contribuciones individualmente que hemos hecho para construir esta gran nación. Y por eso ya es hora de construir un museo dedicado a nuestra historia. Our legislation will establish a National Museum of the American Latino right where it belongs, here in the nation's capital, alongside the Native American Museum, the African American Museum, and the Smithsonian's many other fine institutions. For years, I've been fighting this fight with all of you, and over the years, we've made strides. In 2008, Congress, with the support of Republican President George W. Bush, created the commission to study the potential creation of the National Museum of the American Latino. In 2011, the National Museum of the American Latino Commission submitted a plan of action to President Obama and to Congress. Now it's time for this Congress to take that plan and turn it into action. This is not a partisan issue, and it shouldn't be a partisan issue. Our effort to build the National Museum of the American Latino should be controversial to no one, because no one can deny that at 57 million strong, our people will continue to shape America's future, just as we have shaped America's past. At the end of the day, our vision for the museum is about more than a collection of artifacts and documents. It is about establishing yet another world-renowned destination in our nation's capital that celebrates the incredible diversity that makes America great. The Museum of the American Latino will inspire families, tourists, students, and people from all backgrounds to celebrate the diverse threads that bind the United States of America together as one nation. Again, let me thank all of the organizations, the elected leaders, the donors, the advocates who have banded together in this effort. At a time when hateful rhetoric so often poisons our airways and our news feeds, it's never been more important than we come together to tell the story of the American Latino the way it deserves to be told. It will be an uplifting story. It will be a powerful story. And it will be a uniquely American story. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Nuestra historia es la historia de los Estados Unidos, y nuestra historia se tiene que reconocer ahora en un museo aquí en Washington. With that, let me introduce my colleague in the Senate who's joined us in this effort, Senator John Cornyn of Texas.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you. Thank you. Now more than ever, it's important for us to learn and then recall our shared history as Americans. And I'm honored to be here with my friend Senator Menendez and colleagues from the House, Danny Vargas, and all of those who've worked so hard to honor the contributions of American Latinos to the United States with this museum. As a native of San Antonio, Texas, and a border state senator, obviously, I'm fortunate to have seen the tremendous contribution that the Hispanic community has made to our culture and our history over many centuries. About 40% of Texans identify as Hispanic. So we appreciate the rich history and culture that's woven into the fabric of the Lone Star State. From the sights and sounds of Fiesta in San Antonio to the heroic stories of the Alamo and the hero Juan Seguin, we need to make sure that all Americans learn and remember those stories. So this will not only serve as a monument to the contributions of Latino Americans, but also a learning laboratory where every American can access these stories for all Americans. It's been more than a decade, as Senator Menendez has said, since President George W. Bush joined with Congress to explore the possibility of this museum, but now is the time for our colleagues in the House and the Senate to help us make it a reality. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Juliana.
Julissa. Hi, I'm Julissa Arce. As a Mexican American, it's my responsibility to tell you that Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day. It celebrates the Battle of Puebla. I grew up in the great state of Texas, where it is true that everything is bigger, and to my dismay, even our textbooks. I have always loved history, and I didn't mind that our history books were thick and heavy. I found it mesmerizing to learn of the battles, discoveries, and the civil rights movements of the past. However, those books and those stories rarely had Latinx faces and tales. When learning about the Alamo, I learned of heroes like Bowie, Travis, and Crockett. The names that did not make it into my history lessons were those of Juan Ambillo, Juan Badillo, Carlos Espalier, Gregorio Esparza, Antonio Fuentes, and Andres Nava. Tejanos, Mexicans born on Texas soil. Latinos who died defending the Alamo. The story of the Alamo is incomplete without them. Learning their names and their stories gave me a deeper sense of pride, a deeper sense of belonging in Texas and in America. In the 8th grade, I became a cheerleader for the Mount Sacred Heart Eagles. What I didn't know was that in 1968, a group of Chicano leaders in Crystal City, Texas, led the way for me to be able to cheer on that squad. In 1968, only 1 of 4 spots on the cheerleading squad could be occupied by a female of Mexican American descent, despite the fact that the school was 85% Latino. These civil rights leaders organized their community and led the way for inclusion in their campus activities, school board, and city council. This iconic civil rights moment did not make it into my history books. There are many more examples of history of Latinos that are not widely known or recognized. The American Latino Museum is necessary to make this history available and to ensure that it is celebrated as part of our nation's heritage. The contributions of Latinos in every aspect of our society continue to this day. Did you know that if Latinos were our own country, our GDP would be the 7th largest and 3rd fastest growing economy in the world? When I visit schools around the country, many of which are largely Latino, as 1 in 4 people under the age of 18 are Latino, I tell them the stories of Ellen Ochoa and José Hernandez, 2 Latinos who have flown into space. Latinos, I tell them, we have literally reached the stars. Our history, contributions, struggles, and triumphs aren't only Latino in nature. They are American. The time is now for a Smithsonian National Museum of the American Latino on the National Mall. Until the museum is built and until the names of Latino heroes, civil rights leaders, scientists, and artists are known and celebrated, the history of America will remain incomplete. I look forward to being back in Washington, D.C. for the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Hoy, mañana y siempre, el nombre de los latinos sigue en alto. Thank you very much, and now please help me welcome Danny Vargas.
Congressman Hurd.
Sure.
Latinos are doing something today that has been very hard to do. Bring Republicans and Democrats from both the House and the Senate together on an important issue. The story of our nation cannot be told without telling the story of Latino Americans. Throughout our country, the contributions of Latinos can be clearly seen and heard, and in my majority Hispanic district, I have seen firsthand Latinos shaping our history and culture across South and West Texas communities each and every single day. The story of the American Latino doesn't just deserve to be told, it needs to be told. The story of our Texas Tejano music queen, Selena, whose inspiring story and music not only won her several awards, but also brought together English and Spanish speakers alike as devoted fans of Tejana culture even in this day. The story of Marcelino Serna, the most decorated World War I veteran from Texas, and one of the countless Latino immigrants whose blood, sweat, and tears helped keep this country safe in times of turmoil. It's stories like these that are why I'm proud to join my friends, Congressman Serrano, Cardenas, Senators Cornyn and Menendez, and everyone else here today to reintroduce our bill in the House to create a National Museum of the American Latino right here in our nation's capital on the National Mall. And that's why I'm here with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle in the House and Senate today to push this important initiative. This isn't a Republican or Democrat issue. This is an American issue. This transcends each of us here today and will allow future generations of Americans from sea to shining sea learn from our past, appreciate the progress made today, and work together to create a stronger future. A Latino museum is long overdue, and I'm proud to join in the fight for the 57 million plus hardworking Latinos across our nation.
Thank you very much. It brings me great honor to be involved in this bipartisan effort. My name is Antonio Cardenas, but I go by Tony Cardenas, and I'm from Los Angeles. And as was mentioned earlier, the Latino Museum is important for all 300 plus American citizens in America, 300 million plus American citizens in America, to have the opportunity to visit our history, the tapestry of our history it's varied and it's vast and it's beautiful. But also to make sure that we do not forget those who came before us. I'm from Los Angeles, and it's really important for people to know that too many people think that if you're from Los Angeles, you look like you belong in the band of the Beach Boys. I don't look anything like any of the people in the band, the Beach Boys. I say that because everybody assumes that if you're from Los Angeles or Southern California, you have blue eyes and blonde hair. And some Latinos do. But my point is this: it's that important truth that people around the world need to understand about the United States of America. The United States of America does not only look like Donald Trump. The United States of America looks very different in very many different ways, and our history is such: varied, beautiful, and vast. So for me, it's really important for everybody to have that opportunity, and it's time that the Latino community be recognized, their beautiful history, the tapestry of wonderful contributions that Latinos have had in the United States of America and also the world. As an engineer myself, who actually went to school with somebody who was mentioned a few minutes ago, the astronaut José Hernandez. He was raised by immigrant parents just like me. We converged together at UC Santa Barbara to walk across the stage to become engineering graduates at that great university. He went off to space to be an astronaut. I came to Congress. Let's not have an opinion about which is better, but I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing to mention. Raised by immigrants. What got him to be an astronaut, José Hernandez? The beautiful work ethic that he learned from his parents. The commitment to follow your dreams. The commitment to be true and honest in everything that you do. And those are exactly the same things that taught me what got me to Congress. So it's really important that everybody understand that today there's a tremendous void for the children who are Latinos in the United States of America, and that void will be filled by this Smithsonian Latino History Museum. That's why we're here today, to set right the path of this great nation going forward from today on, so that we do not leave out a community that has now grown to 58 million, and you ain't seen nothing yet. Like the senator said, aquí estamos y no nos vamos. We're here, and we're here to stay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Congressman José E. Serrano from the Bronx, New York. Thank you for joining us this day. This is a special, special occasion for many of us, one that we have been laying the foundation for 16 years. Today we are reintroducing the National Museum of the American Latino Act. In the 116th Congress, there are a record 50 Hispanic or Latino members in the House and Senate. We now represent 9.2% of the Congress, a number that grows each election. We are 58 million strong across the U.S., a number that the census predicts will reach 119 by 2060. The young and vibrant communities that make up the American Latino experience continue to grow, thrive, contribute, and make history. However, these contributions to our shared history often go unrecognized or ignored by the history books and academic and cultural institutions. American Latinos have fought in all our wars, led medical and scientific breakthroughs, and continue to shape and influence the arts, music, sports, and culture. That is why a Latino museum is so important. Passage of this bill will kick off the process of establishing a world-class museum dedicated to highlighting the American Latino experience. It will designate a site on the National Mall, establishing a board of trustees to help guide planning, design, and construction efforts, and authorize federal funds to match private donations to create the museum. Our bill is modeled after successful legislation that established other museums, including the National Museum of African American History and Culture. We can do this. We just need leadership that will get it done because it is the right thing to do and it makes sense. I cannot help but think of the immigrant first generation or second generation Latino families visiting Washington, D.C. and seeing for the first time a full space dedicated to the history of people who look like them in one of the world's premier museums institutions. Capturing and telling that story will be a source of great pride for millions of us. The feeling of inclusion will be a powerful moment for millions of American Latinos. In the House, our bill number is H.R. 2420. As of today, we stand at 11 Democrats and 8 Republicans, a strong bipartisan beginning. Thank you to my colleagues and the advocates for our support. The 116 Congress is our time, and we will get it done together. I want to also say that when we do this museum, you're going to hear my usual mantra, and that is that we have to include in this museum the lives of Latino in the territories, because those Americans in Puerto Rico and in other places have played a major part in the history of this country. And so the museum must include not only the 50 states, but the 50 states and the territories. And lastly, este es un momento histórico para nosotros, porque aquí estamos empezando de nuevo con una batalla que ahora se puede lograr, y es crear un museo para la historia, la cultura y la forma de pensar de nuestra comunidad latina. Hemos participado en todo, hemos sido parte de esta nación desde el principio, y ahora es la oportunidad de tener un museo que pueda hablar de quiénes somos, y cómo somos parte de esta nación americana. Y para mí personalmente, espero que este museo entienda bien desde el principio, y estaré ahí con mi comentario de siempre, y no es solamente los 50 estados, es los 50 estados y los territorios, porque en Puerto Rico y otros territorios hay latinos que han creado historia para esta nación y han sido parte de esta nación. Muchas gracias.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Congressman Joaquin Castro from the wonderful state of Texas. I represent the great city of San Antonio. I want to say first thank you to all of the advocates who for over 20 years have been pushing for a Latino museum in Washington, D.C. on the National Mall. Thank you also to the legislative shepherds in the House and in the Senate of both parties who have tried to make this possible. Latinos have made significant contributions in towns and communities big and small throughout this country. Mexican Americans, as you find oftentimes in my home state of Texas and New Mexico and Arizona, Dominican Americans, Boricuas, Cuban Americans, and so many others. And yet, oftentimes those contributions to science, to business, to music, to culture, to arts are often left out of our history books. When young children in Texas read about the great contributions to our state, oftentimes you don't see too many Latino faces, even though Texas is now 40% Latino. So this will be one way to make sure that Latino contributions from across the country are not only preserved and recognized, but also celebrated in the best way that we can celebrate as a nation, this partnership with the Smithsonian. So again, thank you to everybody who has kept up the fight to make this possible. I hope that everybody knows what it will mean to future generations of young Latinos and Latinas to be able to come to our nation's capital and see the contributions of people like them here in our nation's capital. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Glad to be here with advocates for the museum and with my colleagues in Congress, both Republican and Democrat. The Latino community is not monolithic. It's not homogeneous. It's diverse, it's different, and it brings cultural and historic resources to our nation that make this nation a better place. And that needs to be acknowledged. The history, the future, and the present. And the national, the Smithsonian Institute and in UCLA Policy, Latino Policy and Politics Initiative released a much anticipated report, Invisible No More, in 2018, which talked about 10 recommendations that were laid out in 24 years ago to increase and be more inclusive of the Latino presence in this nation, their contributions to the overall history of the nation, and found that it had not met those recommendations after 24 years. So the National Museum of American Latino Act, which will be before our committee and in the Senate as well, is something that we look forward to. We want to shepherd it along with the advocates. It's an important piece of acknowledgement, one, respect, two, and it's a unifying effort on the part of all of us. That this country is made up of many people, many faces, many cultures, many languages, all one, all American. And as such, that contribution, that presence, as it continues to grow and emerge in this nation, needs to be acknowledged. And this act takes us in that direction. It begins the process to a dedicated effort on the National Mall, highlighting the American Latino experience in this nation and in this world. I'm very proud to be part of it and look forward to working with my colleagues and advocates to make sure that we take that initial first step and take it quickly. Thank you very much.
Buenas tardes a todos. In my congressional district in the central part of Washington State, I can tell you that I see firsthand how Latino and Hispanic cultures are deeply integrated into our communities. Latino Americans, as you know, have built up the United States, and they deserve the recognition. The Latino community is growing, it's thriving, and it's a very important part of the fabric of our country. The United States of America is truly a melting pot where people of diverse backgrounds and cultures can come together as one people united by shared values. Those Latinos and Hispanics that I've grown up with are living proof that the American dream is open to anyone, regardless of their country of origin. The National Smithsonian of the American Latino, I think, will truly demonstrate that. As Americans, we can demonstrate also that we cherish our unity and our diversity. The museum will finally highlight and celebrate their contributions to our nation for all future generations to come. So I am proud to join my colleagues that you see here today on both sides of the aisle to showcase a more complete American history and finally recognize the Latino contributions to our American history, life, art, and culture. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's really a privilege to be here today. And I just want to say I'm proud to be a co-sponsor of this legislation. This is long overdue, and it's not a Latino issue, a Democratic issue, or a Republican issue. It's an American issue. It's an American issue to highlight the contributions that the Latino population has made to our country. My own district, there are many Latinos in the district. I see firsthand the contributions they make. But going back over the centuries, quite literally, there's been, again, immense contributions that add immeasurably to the country, and I'm just proud to be part of this. I could go on, but there's other speakers here. Just to say, I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be part of something that was long, long overdue, and thank God it's going to be here now. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Congressman Chuy Garcia from Chicago. I, too, want to join the members of the Hispanic Caucus and all of our friends across the country in saying that it is time for this museum to become a reality. Latinas, Latinos, people of Hispanic heritage are a unique people and experience and should be represented in Washington, D.C., in the heart of our nation's power structure, where public policy is formulated, where people from all over the country come to learn more about all that is America. I want to commend the folks who have been struggling for this for many years. It is time. I'm glad to add my voice and support to the many voices which have already said it is time to honor a community that is rapidly growing and become a part of the American mosaic. Esta tarde me da mucho gusto como congresista de Chicago y la área circunvecina apoyar estos esfuerzos del caucus hispano y de todos nuestros amigos, amigas y aliados aquí en Washington, D.C. Ya es tiempo que nuestra comunidad reciba un reconocimiento de todo lo que hemos aportado a esta nación desde que nació este país y este pueblo norteamericano. Es tiempo que se establezca este museo aquí en la capital de los Estados Unidos de Norteamérica. Muchas gracias.
Congresswoman Barbara Lee will be our final speaker today. Perfect timing.
Well, first of all, let me thank all of you so much for being here today. Representative, where's Serrano and Hurd and all of it? Okay, I'm sorry. But I just really am proud to stand here in support of the National Museum of the American Latino Act, which will establish, of course, as you know, Smithsonian Museum on the National Mall dedicated to helping and highlighting the American Latino experience and ensure the stories of Latino people in America get told by the incredible way that only the Smithsonian Institute can do. Now, I have to say I was privileged to have been born in El Paso, Texas, and I grew up in a Latino community. And this museum is going to be so important for the Latino community, but for the entire country, because we have now a great opportunity and a responsibility, quite frankly, to hold up and to celebrate the contributions that the Latino people have made to this country. And when we do this, we also can begin healing the damage caused by offensive stereotyping, myth-making, and hateful rhetoric that has consumed, especially recently, our national conversation. So we have and have always had bipartisan and bicameral support to make this museum a reality. Building this museum is more important now than ever, and it's necessary. So let's get it done, and I'm proud to say I'm a member of the Appropriations Committee, and whatever it takes, as Congressman Hurd is, and whatever it takes as appropriators to get this going and done, I stand ready to work to help to get that make that happen. So thank you again. Muchas gracias.
All right.
Folks, again, my name is Danny Vargas. I'm the chairman of the Friends of the National Museum of the American Latino. I'm just going to take a few moments of your time. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank all of the members of Congress and the Senate that were here with us today, the initial co-sponsors, as well as the additional co-sponsors that we'll be bringing on. I want to thank them. Round of applause for the members of Congress that were here with us today. So on behalf of the Board of Directors, our Chairman's Advisory Council, our staff, I want to thank you for your support.